Today, I'd like to share with you about the 4 personality types that everyone falls into. As I describe them, I'd like you to follow along and think about your personality and where you would fit in. Let me start with a story. I had to make a tough decision at my design office. We were flooded with work and it was clear that my design tech was falling behind. My choice was to take a job from him and reassign it to a contractor. This would free up his bottleneck, but the contractor would be doing the design in a 2D AutoCAD software, and we won't have the benefit of accuracy that a 3D Revit software would give us. I decided to trade the accuracy for overall customer service and delivery of our deadlines, along with giving my tech some sanity from his workload. To my surprise, he was not happy at all. In fact, he was quite disturbed and completely disagreed with my decision. He believed that the job would be a disaster if it wasn't drawn in 3D, and we would spend more time and more money fixing things when it gets to construction stage. He was so strong in his opinion about 2D versus 3D drawings that he even felt we should never do another 2D drawing again. This decision caused weeks of tension. This is a story that demonstrates 2 very different personality types. There's not a right or wrong here. There are just different opinions based on our individual personalities. Now I'd like to take you through the different personality types. As I describe them, try to find one that fits you the best. First of all, are you outgoing and fast-paced? Or do you prefer the reserved and slower pace? Are you task-focused? Meaning, do you like to get things done? Or do you like to be with people and you're a relationship person? If you fall into the outgoing task-focused quadrant, you are the type A personality, the director type, we call it. And the characters for this director type is you're a direct communicator, you're results-driven, goal-oriented, risk-taker. You would definitely take the risk if you feel there's a big enough reward. You're very good under stress. You're strong-willed and independent and very decisive. No problems making decisions. Now, if you fall into the outgoing and people-focused, you're a type B, a socializer. You're an initiator. You get things started. You're relationships-oriented. You're enthusiastic, outgoing, persuasive. You can get people on your side. You're optimistic. You're creative. And you're the life of the party. If you're task-focused but reserved, you're type C. We call this the thinker. And these are the analytical type. They're very detail-oriented. They're logical, prepared, cautious. They're persistent. They would get things done, but they're perfectionists. So they want to make sure it's perfect and have it done right. They're detail-oriented and they're diplomatic. If you fall into the last category, which is people-focused and slower pace, you're the type D, the supporter type. And with the supporter type, you want everything around you to be calm. You want people to be happy. You're supportive, you're loyal, you're cautious, you're caring, you're very helpful, agreeable, dependable, patient, all these characteristics. Now let's go back to these 4. There really isn't a right or a wrong, a good or a bad personality. They're just different. And that's the beauty of this world, that we have many different people to learn from, to complement with, and to have conflict with. So you learn from that. What I want to do is go through the different types and talk about the strengths and weaknesses of each type. Now the type A category, the stereotypical career profiles for these would be the CEO, the business owner, the entrepreneur, the politician. That's a type A, director type. And for those, their strengths, they take charge. They're entrepreneurial, they have a direct communication, they don't want to beat around the bush, they get things done. They're assertive, they're independent, they love autonomy. They don't want to be bossed around, that's why they're the boss. And they are dominant, highly competitive, they will win. And they're great multitaskers. The weaknesses of them, they go too fast sometimes for many people, especially those that care about more relationships and feelings. they are results driven. So sometimes they're going too fast. It's immediate. It's now. It's get it done. So that could be the weakness of this. They are results focused. So like I said, feelings is secondary. They want to get things done, and that's all that they care about. Bottom line, same thing. Sometimes there's more to things than just the bottom line. And if they are not self-aware, they are driven towards that bottom line, and that's all that matters. And they leave a carnage behind them. So that's the weakness of it. And then type B, these are the people who are social butterflies. So they're great as a party planner, a hostess, a waiter, a salesperson. They're really good at that. So those are the typical stereotypes. The strengths of a supporter type, or sorry, the strength of the salesperson type, socializer. So type B, the socializer. The career profiles for a socializer personality would be a salesperson, a hostess, a waitress, a party planner, someone that loves to get things started. A salesman, socializer is great for that. The strengths of them, they're enthusiastic, they're charismatic, they're charming, they're fun-loving for sure, but they do get distracted and they're always on to the next thing. It's that shiny object syndrome, so they love that. They're lighthearted, they're people-oriented, they are self-confident for sure. And some weaknesses with that type is sometimes they may be too self-absorbed. They're too into themselves. They can't focus because they love chasing that next big idea, but they never finish. So that's the problem, is they start lots of new stuff, but they never finish. So they're impatient and they appear impulsive and sometimes unrealistic because they take on so much stuff and they expect, they're like the perfect optimist and they just think that things will work out, but they're not grounded. They also have trouble being alone. They're bored easily, and they're short attention span because they're always wanting excitement and wanting the next thing. Procrastinators, that's also another weakness. Now type C, the thinker. This career profile would be the engineer, the data analyst, the techie type of jobs, the lawyers, the accountants, those ones that need a lot of detail and are would rather be in their own cubicle doing work than out meeting people and with socializing with colleagues. So the type C personality, the strengths that they have, they're accurate. Accuracy is huge for them. They're very detail oriented, dependable, independent. You can just leave them with a bunch of work and they'll get through it. You don't need to give them instructions. They'll read through it. They're the types that would read all the terms and conditions and know exactly and tell you exactly which clause is where. So leave it for them for that type of work. They play by the rules. They're very rule oriented because they read the rules. They're the ones that know it. They're organized, they're intelligent, analytical, critical thinkers, and quality control is their thing. Some weaknesses of the thinker type, they can appear unsocial because really they would rather not be social. They would rather do work. They would rather be in their cubicle studying the data. They definitely like to do things their way because there's a set way that they want to do things and they don't want to be disrupted that way. They could be pessimistic. They're definitely skeptical because they want to make sure that it's been studied and tested. So that's a weakness of them. And sometimes it's hard to meet even their own personal expectations because they're so perfect. So they're really hard on themselves. The type D supporter. This type is the perfect profile for their career would be nurses, teachers, daycare teachers, admin, executive assistants. They love nurturing. They love taking care of things. Their strengths are they are low-key. They rather fly under the radar. They are caring and sincere. They're really loving and they're a great helper, compassionate, stable and calm. You can depend on them, and they don't want to stir up the mess. They want everything to be peaceful and calming. They do not like conflict. They avoid conflict, and that's why they want to set up their world that way. And also they're dependable, they're consistent, they don't get bored easily. They love repeated tasks and routines. Now their weakness is they do not speak up. They don't want to stir the boat or rock the boat. So sometimes they might get bossed by other types. This is because they are such a pleaser. They are less assertive for sure. Their communication style, less assertive, and they get hurt feelings easily. So these are the very sentimental, very emotional type. So the type A has to learn to work with these because type A's don't care too much about emotion. That's secondary. Results is first. So these two have to learn to work with each other. But if they do, they make great partners. And also they dislike constant change. They want calm and peace and routine. They will also go along for the ride just because they don't want to disturb or rock the boat. So now let's go back to my story of my tech and I having conflict. I'm definitely the type A director type, and he was the type C thinker personality. My personality traits are results, getting things done, risk taker. His personality traits are accuracy, detail oriented, perfectionist, cautious. So no wonder we're butting heads. And this is why we had the conflict, because we were coming up from two very different points of view, and our goals are completely different because of those value points that we have. Knowing his personality type, though, I can leverage his strengths of accuracy and detail-oriented approach and manage his overly cautiousness. When I communicate with him, I'm cognizant of this and give him the time that he needs so he feels heard. For another type A, for instance, I can just give them one sentence and they get to a point and they're done because of their direct communication style. But for the thinker style, they may need 2 or 3 times more because they think about everything in just one point. They need that time to go through all the options. I drive him crazy because of the speed at which I want to move. For him, it's not as much about the end goal as getting that perfect set of drawings that is super detailed so there's no risk of mistakes down the road. He's my best tech because of his strengths as a thinker. If I was not aware of the pros and cons of each personality type, then I may have fired him because he's standing in my way. But then I would lose my best tech. The developed leader is someone who understands their own core personality, but also understands that they have different personalities within them, and also understands the different personality types of the people that they are talking to, and they can leverage that. So as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, as a leader and manager, I recommend that you look into yourself and dive in to understand what your dominant type is and leverage that to help affect and motivate others. Now, although I've generalized here into 4 categories, not everyone is one personality. You do have a little bit of everything in you. Some are more dominant in other parts than others. Some are very evenly spread out. For instance, myself, I'm definitely more dominant on the director, CEO type A, but then also I have the analytical side too, the thinker side of me that I can pull on, and also the socializer, the promoter side. I can bring that on when it's needed. So imagine it like a Swiss Army knife. Which tool do you want to use for that situation? So hone that skill, sharpen that knife, and you can use it appropriately depending on what you need to do. The other thing that is very interesting is as you understand more about your personality type, you'll recognize that there's actually different styles of personality that you gravitate towards more, and different types that you gravitate towards less. And knowing that is actually really good already, because then you can select the right people on your team. You can motivate people differently. For instance, for me, although the supporter is so opposite of my personality type, I actually have a lot of close friends and a lot of good colleagues and staff who are supporter types, because their strengths can complement my weakness as the type A, right? Their sensitivity towards people and feelings, they can engage and coach me on that. The key though is, as the developed leader, is you need to be aware of that. You need to have that self-awareness that those are your weakness and you seek that and you're open to that, because otherwise you can easily shut that down. And thinker, same thing. Thinker are analysts. They're very detail oriented and they may not like the big vision. So they like to work with a visionary, a type A type of personality, because they will go high level. But if they're not aware, then they might just judge that type A and say, no, that's not how you do it. And then they banish that. And the socializer type, they work really well with the thinker type, or at least they would appreciate the thinker type very much if they're self-aware. Because the socializer is the one who loves great ideas, loves shiny objects, loves starting things, but they don't finish. It's very hard for them to finish and stay focused. And that's the exact strength of a thinker type. They like to just hunker down and really just work on something detailed and just get it done. That's what a socializer really needs to finish all of their great grandiose thoughts. The visionary is also very similar, right? They have high level thinking and they want to do these great things, but they need someone to execute on it. They need someone to finish it off for them, and the thinker is perfect for that. So what I'm telling you is to understand your own personality, where you're dominant, and understand those around you and what type of personality they are, so that you can leverage the strengths and complement the weaknesses. I hope this video has brought you value. If it has, please click on my subscribe button. There's more coaching tips always. And also visit my website, see what other coaching services I have. I'm Eric Lee with Starfish Coaching, and I can turbocharge your success.